The Ruins of Belegost, a standalone scenario for Lord of the Rings, the living card game by Fantasy Flight Games. This was released at GenCon 2015. It's a standalone scenario, standalone adventure. You do not need any expansion. Very often the individual small expansions require a deluxe expansion to be played with. Here all you need is simply the base game and this one. And this is a very interesting adventure because it has a little bit of a D&D feel to it. Yes, you still have the majestic, noble, heroic characters of the Lord of the Rings, but for once they are not caught in the large battle against metaphysical evil. It's not about righting wrongs and saving the kingdom. It is about traveling across a dungeon, facing traps, defeating monsters, and looking for treasures. Yes, of course, there is a very noble intent what people are doing it, but it feels like good old dungeon crawler in the world of the Lord of the Rings through the mechanics of the Lord of the Rings, the card game. So, fun stuff, interesting stuff. Here, these cards represent the unique rules. They tell the unique rules of this adventure. Also, it's an adventure, not an expansion, so it only comes with cards to play the scenario, not with hero cards, equipment attachments. Those you need to own, again, from the base sets and possibly, if you want, from other expansions, but not, you won't get heroes and stuff like that. You will only find challenges and bad stuff. Well, actually, you know what, and the occasional treasure, but treasures that you gain here, that are here, are related to the scenario, they're not standard equipment. Interesting mechanics. The discover mechanics. There are cards that have a discover with a number. When you are resolving the discover effects, you look at the top number of discovered cards in the encounter deck. If there are multiple cards that have the loot keywords, then you choose one. If there are cards with the hazard traits, then you reveal them and you add them to the staging area. So you really have the sense that you are going around these secret chambers, locations in the dungeon, spending time to discover, and then stuff pops up from dark corners. Maybe it's a horrible troll that is trying to eat you, maybe it's a treasure that you were looking for. You had the sense of first you enter an area, then you search it, like in good old dungeon crawl, and then you see what happens. Loot, also very important. Loot is, well, this set of special items that are available in the dungeon. They have good effects, and they also are important for other reasons. But yeah, you have a map, keys, we'll see, well, these are important. Blue Mountain Gem, very neat because it reduces players' threats. A book that allows you to draw cards. Some really nice effects here. These are not loot anymore. This is an objective that describes a condition in the dungeon. This is a nasty monster that is in the staging area, but it is considered to be engaged with each player. And then some other special monsters, cards, and abilities. I will not give you too many details, but I want to give you a general sense actually of simply what is in the dungeon. And really we have the three things that you expect in a dungeon. Chambers and hallways that you want to explore, monsters that you have to fight, and traps. There are some really annoying traps. There are a lot of traps. I want to show you the one that is the most maddening is this trap here. When revealed, each player discards an ally he controls. These allies keep falling in these holes in the ground. And then we have orcs and goblins, trolls, nameless cave dweller, the stats change. Pretty neat, fairly standard kind of population you expect in a dungeon with actually some treachery that has to do with a dragon that also inhabits the dungeon. Traps. So interesting flavor. Another treachery situation that adds threats. So in a certain sense, fairly standard dungeon crawling, but what is interesting is that it is in the Lord of the Rings. So wow, Lord of the Rings heroes also do that. They get down underground mazes looking for treasures and fighting monsters. But actually here is what it really makes it interesting. It is not a combat-oriented scenario only or a exploration or travel oriented only, it really gives you the sense of being lost in a maze of tunnels and cunicles where it is easy to get lost. How does the game simulate that? A sense not of a linear space but of a maze, by using, of course, cards, by using, of course, quest cards. And there is, as you can see, a large set, and some of these cards are double-sided, but not in the traditional sense that one side is the setup and the other side gives you more detail. They're sort of like mini quests, mini area. The two sides represent different quests. How so? Because these quests are connected in a sort of choose-your-own-adventure type of thing. Even though in reality you do not have choices per se, but when you complete an area, as you can see, many do not have really high cost. You don't have like 30 or 40 points. It's like 6 or 9. When you complete a quest, then you read the instructions that tell you what is the next area. For example, when the stage is defeated, if you found the key of Belegost, advance to stage 2C, and you look for the corresponding quest. Otherwise, stage 2A. Then later there is an area where you are getting lost in the bottom of the dungeon, and so if you found the map, you go to a certain stage. If you do not have the map, go to another stage. So actually, you may have to go back and forth and work your way across the tunnels, walking in circles at times, collecting the loot that will unlock different areas. So magically, this is one of the things that I like very much about the Lord of the Rings, the living card game, is how it magically represents, it captures a large variety of different themes through mechanics that do not necessarily feel very narrative at first, and then when you see what they actually do, it's pretty impressive. And this is what happens here. It is about flipping cards, it is about going through the usual quests, but you do get this, do get all that you need to have a good dungeon crawler. You get the monsters, you get the traps, you get the treasures with special bits, and you get the feeling of getting lost in a space that is very hard to understand, to map, to grok, to create a picture of in your mind. The Ruins of Belegost. If you can find a copy, I think that they're not rare. I see there are copies online. I picked up my copy at my local friendly local game store. There's the Common Room in Bloomington, Indiana. They have a lot of these expansions, a lot of these scenarios. I just love to stop by and pick up one. It's not hard to find, and I had to say, as for a standalone scenario, so not one of those that have the epic scope, scenarios that connect to one another in large storylines. For a single storyline, for a single scenario, this is a really excellent one with a lot of depth. No pun intended, as you're going down the depth of the earth looking for monsters. A lot of depth, a lot of thematic flavor, even more thematic than many other scenarios for the game. And this is already a game that is intensely thematic. Dungeon crawling, the world of the Lord of the Rings is like the best of both. Fantasy world of both approaches to fantasy. One, the metaphysical and struggle between good and evil, Lord of the Rings. The other one, fighting and collecting treasures, Dungeons and Dragons. You have both of them in this standalone adventure, which is a very excellent adventure.